Hello, friends. In fact, in our session today, we want to discuss very chronic subject which is affecting everyone, and that is about restarting our work. We have been in lockdown for almost 18 months, and now people are getting back to work, and there is a lot of discussion about hybrid workforce. To discuss this matter, I have a very important, very eminent personality joining from Singapore. Her name is Farida Charania, and she is a CEO of Career Zoom. And she is expert in HR and also learning and development. So I think she is the best person to answer this question. So let's welcome her. How are you, Farida? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm doing very well, CK. How are you, and how are our viewers? More importantly, I just wanted to kind of come here and connect again with our viewers. So yeah, I'm so looking forward to this discussion.
Well, I think this is a very important point that you've raised. The viewers are actually confused, including myself. There is a lot of conversation. One week we are open, next week we are again closed down, and then we keep hearing news about the third wave, which never came. So I think there is a lot of confusion, and the companies have to restart their business in a way that the life normalization should happen. So I think there is a lot of conversation on hybrid, and I think we need clarity. Our viewers would need a lot of clarity. What is your opinion, Farida ji?
Okay, so thanks, CK. This is a very important question, and now more than 18 months into the lockdown or partial lockdown, open close game, I think it's becoming a serious issue, because if someone has been in a job for a while, hybrid is fantastic for them. If someone has been working from home, and they are mid-career, it's fantastic because it actually, kind of ties in into their personal aspirations. They get time to do things with their family. They are able to kind of, save the travel time, etc. And they have already passed that phase where, mentorship, companionship could be formed in the early stages because they already have that network. The problem is when the young adults who get into the workforce, if they start working remote, initially maybe they kind of find it very exciting because your world is very large. You have opportunities globally, and you are doing what you were meant to do, but you do lose out on interaction, a social life within your workspace, mentorship, and most importantly the opportunity to learn from others. Because in isolation, it is, however sexy it sounds, that you can work from home. So you can kind of really slide from your bed straight to your chair and start working. You don't need to dress up, so you can actually have your probably your Christmas on top and 4th of July on the bottom. But the point is that this whole thing about working from home has not only caused a lot of fatigue, and it's not just the Zoom fatigue that we are talking about, but it has caused the mental isolation is becoming a serious issue now. So I think while hybrid is to stay, there is some interaction which is definitely very important.
Well, Farida, I think the hybrid is about going to work few days and then staying back home few days. And in fact, I like the analogy that you described, straight slide down like a slider into your office desk. I love it actually. In fact, if we have that technology with us. However, is there an alternative? I mean, hybrid we are talking about is the most ideal condition, but I don't see this ending. Is there an alternative, or is there a need for a new kind of a system? I think there's a whole lot of confusion is there in terms of what people should be preparing to do. And I think you raised a very important point about the youngsters who are just starting the job. They don't know how the office looks like. They don't know how to work. They have no idea. So I think this is something that we need clarity on. What is your opinion, Frida?
I think, as you rightly said, hybrid is here to stay, because it's not about reopening and things like that, but it's also that companies probably realize the value that you can release a lot of real estate if it's hybrid. You can have hot desks, people can come into office as and when, unless it's a kind of an organization which needs people to be present. So while all of this is happening, there is this issue where new joiners, especially because new joiners, if it's specifically if it's their first job, it's never an easy journey. So some good things that have happened during this recent times is that some onboarding processes have been defined very clearly, because it used to be so. There is an anecdote that I would share. A friend of mine told me some time ago that if there is no definition, there is no product. And we as an organization are selling this product for years. So there is no clear definition. In the past, there was no clear definition of how the onboarding. So there is guidance, but there wasn't a definition. There wasn't a system. There wasn't centralized. So if it's a large company, every country works in their silos. And furthermore, if it's a very large company, then every office in that particular country also works in silos. But what has happened is, because of this whole hybrid working environment, processes have been streamlined. So you get the information that you need on your day one, etc. You're welcome and all of that. And then, you do Zoom meeting with your colleagues, and you actually, you do that in a very systematic fashion, because there is no longer the liberty of, knowing people at the coffee machine or, at the water cooler or, on your bathroom breaks. You don't meet people. So this is a very serious issue. One recommendation, which, and I have said this many times and I would say it again, that yes, hybrid is ideal, but when there are new joiners, maybe that hybrid could be a little more little more structured for them. So they can come into office probably for a few days. They can come into office every day, so they get to meet people who are on round robin. They get to meet with people. They are able to actually at least give a face to the name, because Zoom, any video conferencing is not like meeting in person. It isn't. Initially, honestly, I have traveled so much over the years that I absolutely loved it, that I don't need to travel. My clients are not expecting me to be there, and they are happy to have these online meetings. I'm able to close deals online, etc., etc. But today, I do feel that fatigue myself. So if me being 20 years in the business, if I can feel the fatigue, then somebody who's just started a year or two ago, who's not even had a chance to build those relationships, would experience this a lot more. And also there's this new culture which has come up because of this whole, hybrid working, that you have back-to-back Zoom meetings, which is actually very tiring, because, people like us who probably are contributors to most meetings, you cannot switch off your camera and relax. There are people who can do that if they are just participating, but people who have to be an active part of that meeting, they cannot just simply relax and just switch off their camera. So it's very tiring, because you're working. Again, the boundaries of your work time have kind of, because your work time is gone into your personal space, your personal time has creeped into your work time. So, you have that 1 hour, you take that lunch break, and that lunch break, you want to get your laundry done, you want to do this, you want to do that. In an office, you don't do that. In an office, you're very focused. So all of this is unfortunately not very ideal. Some people like it, but for someone who just starts working, it is a very, very difficult situation, because it's like I heard this the other day. I was having a meeting with a few interns who work with me, and I heard someone's mother actually calling him in the background that it is lunchtime. Why are you not coming here? And I want you to clear the table before everyone sits down. And she didn't know I was on the call, and I could hear it. So sometimes, it becomes very embarrassing for those people as well. But these are, again, trivial things. I think the main thing I do worry about the younger generation who's just started working, about their mental health. Because in isolation, it's very difficult to scale, to grow, to, learn more things. Ideal recommendation would be that the hybrid probably is a good way forward, but people who just start working, they should have the flexibility to kind of go into office more often so they can meet everyone.
Well, Farida, in fact, thinking about the old times before 2019, when we used to interview people, we used to ask them question, hey, what is your experience? How many people you know? What you can do for me? I think those questions are not relevant in any job interview today because, whether you know 100 people or 1000 people doesn't matter, because how many people you know on the internet is what matters today. So even if you have worked with the 100 CEOs, it won't matter, it won't bring any value. So I think the whole scenario is changing. Any opinion on this one?
I think so. So, I would kind of, share an anecdote, which I love doing. So, this a while ago, I actually read this joke where there was a funeral and there were three people at the funeral. And, people were asking each other, but, he's very popular. He has 5,000 friends on Facebook. But so that's the world that we are living in today. Honestly, your Rolodex is becoming very useless right now, because if you are actually, if you say that many people, it doesn't matter, because if you work for a large organization, let's take this example. I come from HSBC. So from HSBC, if I call a client, they're going to talk to me because I may be, I may be a very normal person, a very small person, but the organization I work for isn't, and they will talk to you. Now, the thing is, when I'm calling them in my own capacity, will they still talk to me? And the difference is, will they still entertain me? So today that, knowing somebody has become as irrelevant as that, because honestly, if you are going to an organization which is expecting you to bring your entire network with you, you are only bringing your LinkedIn network, honestly, because you are not going to events, you are only attending events virtually. So that, whole recognition, that connection, that's not happening. In fact, yesterday, it's been 2 years since I actually presented at Slush in Helsinki in Finland. And yesterday I had that reminder on Facebook. And I was just thinking that it's been so long since I actually spoke at a conference in front of so many people. And I don't know if this is going to continue. That actually got us, to our round of funding and so many things. And all of that is very difficult to do virtually. I don't know. I have managed to raise another round of funding for one of my entities recently, but that's a small seed round, and I don't know if I will be able to replicate that success for Series A if I have to still do it virtually. You still need to meet your investors. They need to have that confidence in you, as a founder. They need to kind of, believe in your ability to take this business from point A to point B. So I don't know if I can make that connection, over a video conference. Maybe 5 years down the line, when people get used to only video conferences, it could be possible. But I find it very difficult.
Well, Farida, I think extending my previous question about building your personal brand, and that is more valuable. I think that is a totally different stream. We will discuss that some other day. But I think the personal brand vis-a-vis the type of industry that you are employed in. So, for example, when we talk about work from home and virtual office, etc., may be relevant for certain industry, but then there are certain industries who have already invested in capital and they are stuck with those machineries. And there is no second thought about working from home. I mean, there is no way that industry can work from home. So in that situation, what will happen to those industries who don't have liberty to work from home? I think that is a big segment that we are ignoring, isn't it?
Well, I don't think we are ignoring that segment, because, that segment actually is very important, because that is where your manufacturing happens. That's where your logistics take place. So, I mean, a logistics company cannot afford to have workers working from home. So even during lockdown, most of these facilities were working. And as an exception, these workers were in their workplaces. So I don't think we are ignoring them. I just think that this particular question is not relevant to them. This particular worry is not so relevant to them. They have other worries, because, with all of these lockdowns, their capacity to kind of, do more work goes down. Their capacity, the demand for their goods probably go down. Logistics is not going down by any stretch of imagination. That's the only one which is kind of, boomed. So if you look at, virtual platforms or logistics, these are businesses which have boomed during this time. So I don't know. And also, I don't think I'm in a position, or I am, educated enough in that area to make a comment. But where I'm coming from is, mostly organizations which work from home is not ideal for a bank also, but no choice, they have to work from home in these, constant lockdown situations. So I'm talking about these workers because a lot of young people join organizations, or rather have joined organizations in the last 1.5 years. They have started on a hybrid model, and eventually, they have only worked from home. Like in Singapore, work from home is still default, so you can't go into your offices. So I have not met most of my new joiners. I've just met them virtually. I've interviewed them virtually, I've hired them virtually, and they will finish their internships also virtually, and I don't think I will meet them. So that is the thing, because now people look very different on camera as well. Young people, they kind of do all kind of stuff like putting filters and makeup and everything, and I don't know, if I see them in a mall, I might recognize them. So there is no connection building that is happening. I might not have an opportunity to kind of crack a joke with them because I don't know them well enough, and they might not have the confidence that they can do it with me because they don't know me well enough.
And I think that is why we must talk about the mental health issues, because I think the overall development of a human being is happening in a different direction right now. What is your opinion on this one?
I think it's a big issue. CK, I have experienced, bereavement within very close circle, and it is a serious issue. So, younger people getting stressed out with this whole pandemic situation and working from home is definitely a big issue. But I do see professionals who are, our peers in our age group. I have seen bereavement there as well. So I know of this one person who was doing very well. He was an MD at one of the big fours. He was staying alone in Singapore, away from home, Swiss, national, and away from home for so long, right? I think he just couldn't take it. He just ended it all. And who actually thinks that a 38-year-old will finish everything, will not have will to fight any longer? So loneliness, lethargy of this whole pandemic, the whole momentum of not really going anywhere, just being on your own gets to people. So mental health is a very big problem. The helplines, in the UK, they've never been so busy. I've worked very closely with someone from NHS for one of my projects in the UK, and they are from the psychiatry department. So they are a consulting psychiatrist in that area. And what I understand is that helpline is constantly busy because a lot of people are calling for help. Good part is there is help available, but not everyone is actually. I think the very young generation, children who are growing up, they might get used to it because they are even schooling in Zoom. So, they are actually doing virtual classes and all of that. So for them, it might be a way of life. But people who are in their 20s, they didn't grow up this way. They didn't grow up in isolation. They grew up with a community. So in the workplace, if they are in isolation, it is a big worry.
Yeah, certainly. In fact, there is even a bigger menace which nobody talks about, sort of ignore, is the anxiety. I think that is also there. In fact, there is huge anxiety among people, isn't it? What is your experience, Farida?
I think I have never seen so much anxiety in the workplace. Honestly, it might be a very crude statement and it might be a blanket statement, but and that my work is that I speak to people all the time, and people are anxious that I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. does my boss like me? Does my boss not like me? Am I actually doing my work well? Because I'm not getting any feedback. Because see, as a new joiner, honestly, whether you like it or not, you are on the lowest rung of priorities in a company. Somebody who's running that department doesn't so while what you contribute is important, but for them, they want to focus, because they are also remote, they want to focus on what actually their job really is, what they need to deliver. So they don't have time for fluff, and people are dealing with not just work from home, but they are dealing with children studying from home. Not everyone has large houses, so they are dealing with a lot of things, and nobody is going to sit down and mollycoddle people. I mean, things like mentoring, finding yourself, blah, blah, blah. All of these things are not happening in today's world. So it is a big issue, because anxiety is of not knowing what exactly is in store for you. Are you performing well? Are you being liked by your peers? Do your colleagues actually, kind of, can they make a connection with you? And it's not, but to all our viewers, I would just say one thing, that you are not alone. Even we, after 20 years of being in the industry, we also experience that. Yeah. And I'm sure people who have been in the industry for 40 years also experience that. So it is, you are not alone. All of us have that anxiety. I have the anxiety because I don't know what I'm talking right now. Is my audience actually connecting with me? Are they actually finding it useful? I don't know. Maybe CK has that anxiety that, what, I don't know if Farida is, talking to me for what reason. I don't know if CK really likes me. So all of these anxieties would be much lesser. They would still be there, but it would be much lesser if we were to meet in person, if we had the opportunity to make that connection. So my thing is that maybe I am not an authority on this, and I don't understand mental health as well as I should, because I'm not a trained professional. But I see a lot of people, and I think this whole anxiousness is become part and parcel of being in your work life. And it is a serious issue. This needs to be addressed in some way or the other, not wait for it to kind of die down, because otherwise it will become like COVID, where certain countries took a stand that they want to get the mass immunity, and the cost for that was several million lives. So probably this is something which is, the writing is on the wall, and it shouldn't be taken very lightly.
Well, certainly not. I think it should not be taken lightly. In fact, nowadays there is so much information available today that in case if you have symptoms of invisible anxiety, you should consult a physician or consult the proper doctor. And none of us are expert, but I think we can only talk like human beings, where we realize that there are certain hidden things which are happening. So Farida, thank you so much for joining us today and giving your views on how the industry will shape up, whether hybrid or non-hybrid, what are the footfalls. I think these are very interesting questions that we have raised, and you have raised especially today. We don't know how it will eventually pan out after 2 years, but today these are the things which are affecting all of us. So thank you so much for joining us today, Farida.
Thank you so much, CK. I always love coming on your show, and I love our viewers, because sometimes we get some very interesting questions, and those are sometimes discussion points for our next discussion. So thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you, viewers, for sharing your time with us. We really appreciate. If you have questions, CK will have the email ID out there after the after this show. Please reach out to us, and if there is anything that we can help, feel free to ask. We may or may not be able to help you directly, but we can certainly point you in the direction which can help you. So thank you very much. Wish you all a fantastic day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And thank you again, CK. Stay well, all of you.
So we had a fantastic conversation with Farida, and if you want to reach out to us, to me or to Farida, you can use the email which will be published at the end of the program. Or in case you're looking for a job or you have some opportunity that you want to explore, you can reach out to us and we will make that connection happen with Farida. So I'll say goodbye today, only to catch you in the next one.
Thank you.